Me now to weigh in, founder of Geltrude and Company, Dan Geltrude. Dan, thank you so much for joining me. So, Dan, what do you make of this TikToker, this real estate agent from Las Vegas? Do you think he's onto something here?
He could be, but just because somebody gets on to TikTok and throws out some theory doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. But let's look at it this way, Stephanie. If there was one superpower that I could have, I would want it to be able to read people's minds. That's the superpower I would want to have. And I'll tell you why. Because if you can tell what people are thinking and then be able to figure out what they're going to do, think about how powerful that is. After all, Amazon, for example, you may think they're an online realtor and retailer, and they are, but really what they are is a data collection company because they use that data to figure out how to sell product. Now, if Zillow is doing the same thing, and they've been around a while accumulating all this data about how real estate moves, and they use it to their advantage, well, what's wrong with that when they've made an investment into the real estate market? Now, I am not going to say that they're using that to manipulate the real estate market. However, they are in business like everyone else to make money. And if they have data available to them that people, by the way, have willingly provided to them. We've given Zillow this information about what we want to buy, how much we're willing to pay. They collect that information and then they figure out how to make more profit from them. Well, that's the way the world is going right now. It's all about mining for data through technology.
Although his example, though, does seem a little bit unethical for Zillow to buy 30 homes. And then on the 31st home, oh, we're going to bump that price to $340,000. He was saying they were selling them for $300,000. That does seem wrong. And then you think of like the housing crisis. Like a lot of people are doing well because they've owned their homes for so long and they like love to see the value of their home. But for everyone else, especially like younger generations, buying a house is like just never going to happen. And that's like part of the American dream, to like be able to own something, to own your own property, to have a house to raise your kids in.
Well, in the example that TikToker was providing there, remember, he said that there was a convenience there. So if these companies like a Zillow come in and they're willing to purchase your home for a number that you're willing to sell for, he said 300,000. So you sell for 300,000 and there's a convenience there. Even if the home is worth more, you're willing to sell it, let's say, to a cash buyer. So the market is determining right there what it should be sold for. Now, ultimately, if the price starts going up, albeit he's saying through manipulation, which anytime we hear that word, it's not a good thing, but it always comes down to what a willing buyer is willing to pay a willing seller. It's free market.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to shift gears here, and I guess I'm like kind of not surprised, but kind of surprised. It says majority of restaurant operators are saying that running a business, the conditions are worse now than they were 3 months ago. And so you think with the vaccines out and like this effort to try to get back to normal and things have been reopened, that it would be better, but it's actually worse according to a lot of these business owners.
Well, specifically, there was an article speaking about restaurants and how they're really struggling when you would think they should really be on the comeback trail. And there's a few reasons for that. One of which is the prices of goods are going up significantly. So now you have a situation where can these restaurants pass along those costs to buyers? People who are going to their restaurants? And the answer is maybe, maybe not. So they may have to, no pun intended, eat that difference. On top of that, it is still difficult to find workers. You can go into restaurants, I'm in the New York metropolitan area, and you can't get a reservation. However, the restaurant is not full. Why? They can't get enough servers to be able to handle the crowds that are coming in. So this problem related to a lot of small businesses, but specifically restaurants, is not going away.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And that's kind of everywhere that I've been to. It's the same thing. Restaurants can't get a reservation, but if you go there, it's like pretty empty. And you're like, wait a minute, there's like 10 tables here. What do you mean I couldn't have a reservation? And so that's a good point that you make there. And also just the expense. Like at some point, yeah, they can put the rising costs on consumers. But at some point, consumers are going to stop buying. Like they're going to move on certain issues, on certain items.
They certainly will. And when you think about how these businesses are having to evolve because of the pandemic and the worker shortage. So, for example, locally here at grocery stores, what's happening? You see self-checkout now. So you go in, buy your groceries, you scan it yourself, you bag it yourself, and you go on your way. What is effectively happening there is that stores are not paying you to do a job that they used to have someone else doing. So these businesses can be quite smart in terms of getting the consumer to save them money. So these are innovative things that we're going to see happening more and more in businesses. Maybe more restaurants are going to become buffet style, so therefore you don't have all the servers.
I hope not. Not a huge fan of buffets. It kind of gross me out. And as for the self-checkout thing, that's such a scandal, such a pain in the butt to go through the self-checkout. You'll see like 4 people go through the regular checkout. Meantime, you're like still struggling to like scan an apple. Anyways, I hope that they don't keep going in that direction. Hopefully soon enough things will get back to normal. Well, Dan, we're going to leave it here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steph.
Of course.